So this is a short video on data, and it's in support of step 4, which is the data collection planning. And you need to be aware that there's actually two primary types of data. There's continuous random variable data, which is something that we can actually measure and get a unit of measure of. And then the other type of data is attribute or count data, like the reasons a machine might become unreliable, or the nature of customer complaints, or the defects that you observe from picking or packing a product. So the continuous random variable, if it's the output of a process such as some times that you would measure, weights, volumes, then it would likely be normally distributed. It would have a bell curve distribution. One of the things you need to be careful of is that you get granular with your measurements so that we don't end up thinking that this distribution is really covering up two separate distributions, maybe them being the output of two different lines or two different crews. With time series data, like the time to process an order, pay an invoice, issue a purchase order, where the transaction time is a lot longer and go through multiple steps, handled by a number of people who may have to go to meetings or leave at the end of the day, then the time series data would actually be skewed to the right. And they would say that a lot of them, the transactions get done in a relatively short period of time going this way. Some take longer still, and then there's likely a small hump to the right of the transactions that got deferred until the next day or maybe after the weekend. And then of course, just as data, non-normal data can be skewed right, it can be skewed left. In this case, it would indicate that most of the transactions took longer than the ones that occurred here. The count type data, you would literally label the attributes that you were counting, give them some sort of identifier. I've used A through E here. The machine jammed, the bag stopped feeding, the box didn't open, whatever. And you would count the number of times these attributes or defects were observed. I've used a 5-bar gate. And then in step 6, the Pareto analysis would indicate to you which, in order of priority, which of these attributes occurred the most, and therefore which you should work on. So you want to identify the vital few that are causing most of the problems, the 80-20 rule. The Excel template in step 6 doesn't have the ability to produce this sort of bar chart, so there's a pie chart instead. And the continuous random variable data will be discussed in step 5.